Okay, we'll start with the consent items. We have the minutes of the October 19th regular meeting, certification of the October 19th regular or executive session, minutes of the November 2nd public hearing and special meeting, minutes of the November 4th study session. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent items.
I move that we accept the consent items.
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion by Lisa and a second by Steve. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, right hand, please. Okay, motion carries 6-0. Financial report.
All right, Miss Julie, are we ready to walk through this? I'll do the best I can. With our general fund, we ended in October with $513,563.98. Last year at this time, we had $662,089.95. I know that it appears that there is a much larger reduction in this fund this month. Please keep in mind that we had 3 pays come out of that. And part of what we did too was the increases, the pay raises to all of the employees that did not have a teacher contract, and those were retroactive, so that's why that looks much larger. I've worked with Denise Chandler, and we do believe that this will continue to grow again, and that we are definitely working within our means. So it's going to be that one-time hit with the raises, the 3 pays, and going back retroly. Julie, did you have anything that you wanted to? So we'll end fine. We'll end about the same place we did last year. With the debt service fund, we ended in October with $1,507,799.03. Last year at this time, the debt service had $1,565,192.54. Capital projects. We ended October with $303,415.58. Last year at this time, we were negative $15,656.33. We have also shut down all purchasing as of first week of November to try to get those POs caught up and make sure that we know the very final dollar amount when we close out capital projects. If you kind of think about it in respect to your own checking account where you get ready to close it out and you don't write any more checks, so we'll know exactly where we end, and we've shut off the spending in that. So we're confident we'll end the year in the black there. Transportation fund, end of October we had $745,771.92. Last year at this time we had $643,532.03. So continue to grow in that fund as well. And then bus replacement, last year at this time we had $295,964.68. Last year, I'm sorry, that was this year's number. Last year we had $86,023.16. Still waiting on payment for the buses.
Okay. Any questions? I don't need a motion to approve financial.
I move we approve the financial reports as presented.
Okay. Motion by Jenny.
Second.
Second by Don. Any other discussion? All in favor, right hand, please. Okay, motion carries 6-0. Student stakeholder focus. We have donation. Okay, Dave Danhauser received donation from Rochester's Lion Club for marching in the Christmas parade this year of $60. Zebra Pride Running Club, $800 for athletic record board. Anonymous donation of $10 for RMS enrichment field trip. And Tori Lee, 3 boxes of clothing and hygiene items for RMS. Do we have any others? Need a motion to approve the donations.
So moved. I second that. Okay.
Motion by Brad, second by Steve. Any other discussion? All in favor? Okay, motion carried 6-0. I'd like to thank all of them for their donations. Okay, we'll move on to the information analysis. A resolution to approve the sale of Columbia School Building for more than appraised value. Ed, could you fill us in on?
Yes, as a part of the bonding process, we're selling about $9.9 million worth of bonds. A little over $1.2 million will go into Columbia. And so for everything to work out, the other, we need about $8.675 million for the rest of the buildings. That's what the sale of the building was to fund. The appraisal came in at $7.685 million. And so there's about a $600,000 gap there. You're simply paying more than the list price for what you're buying. The resolution authorizes the school to do that. It's fully disclosed to the bondholders, everybody, there's no question about it. But having the resolution makes sure that the people who purchase the bonds know that we know what's going on and that we're disclosing it. And so we'd ask you to approve that.
Anybody have any questions about that? Just full disclosure,
Right.
what's going on?
It looked like in the packet it was a handwritten scratch out. Is there going to be like an official form that we sign again that comes down?
I happen to have it here.
Okay.
Yeah. Already clean until the...
Okay, so if there are no more questions, we'll need a motion to approve the resolution.
I move we approve the resolution
Okay?
regarding the sale of Columbia.
Motion by Lisa,
Second that.
second by Steve. Any other questions? All in favor? Okay, motion carries 6-0. Policy and procedures.
Oh. Yes, we had previously approved several policies. We held one out from that group that warranted further discussion. So that policy has already been through 2 readings. This is the 3rd reading for that policy. At our study session earlier in the month, we discussed this more. It is policy number 5330. It is a new policy, and it is allowing us as a school to obtain a prescription for auto-injectable epinephrine, or commonly known as EpiPens, to stock those, so then to use in the case of someone, whether it be a student, a visitor, a staff member, have an allergic reaction that would need that in a very timely manner, much in the same way as we have the AEDs that we have around the schools. So we discussed this, we discussed that this was a policy that yes, we do want to have this, and at the same time there was a discussion of then who should be able to use them. We discussed that the law allows us to have a nurse and any trained person, and so we thought that gave us the best coverage, as the nurses are not always here for athletic events and so on. Only people who have been trained, such as the athletic trainer and so on, would be able to use them. And we have a full copy of that policy for anyone that would like to look it over. But it was included in the rest that had 2 readings, and so this is its 3rd reading, so if we choose, we could adopt it at this meeting.
Did we say who we would give the shot to? Just Rochester students only? Or
This would be any person that is on our property that would need assistance, so could be anyone in this room.
visitors or students?
And also, just in an emergency. These are not
Correct.
meant to take place of students that know that they need them. They should still be providing their own and keep them at the nurse's station. But we will have, we'll keep 2, I think, at each school for emergency purposes.
Any other questions?
Jenny, you said those that are trained, that would include anyone who took specialized training in that. So if we had a teacher who had 1 or 2 students or something, where there's maybe even a higher risk, then those people, as long as they're trained and approved by administration, would be permitted to use them. Right.
And to Lisa's point, we already, of course, have these medications in our buildings because we have students, I'm assuming probably at every building, who need this. This just widens it a little bit so that if someone who doesn't know they have an allergy and it has a severe reaction the first time they have it.
That's the case a lot of times. You don't realize you have an allergy, and all of a sudden you have a reaction. Better to be prepared. Any other question?
So is your impression, Mrs. Vance, that this is just what we give this injection while we call 911? Because it's not like you give them an EpiPen and they're going back to class.
Absolutely.
They're on the
Absolutely.
truck, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, again, third reading. I'll entertain a motion to approve the policies.
I move that we approve policy number 5330.
Second.
Okay, motion by Lisa, second by Steve, or Brett. Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor? Right. Motion carried 6-0. Okay, adoption of the 2016-17 school calendar.
And I would encourage administrators, secretaries, Clint, if you would like. RCTA provided some great ideas here in the last week in regards to the calendar. There are 2 calendars in front of you. One has our fall intercession falling October 13th and 14th, and then finishing with the intercession October 17th through the 21st. That is one proposal in regards to the calendar. The other proposal has fall break falling October 6th and 7th, and then intercession falling the week of October 10th through the 14th. One of the things about the second round, we actually as an administrative team, we tackled the first calendar quite a bit. And then with the second calendar, Adam had shared that with the first calendar, with our break being near the end of October, we would not be in school during PSAT testing time. Is that correct, Adam? Right. Clint shared from the teacher's perspective the concern about 3 to 9 weeks and then having some time where there may be students that are ineligible, working on grades. There's kind of this downtime when maybe students aren't geared up to continue to push themselves academically, and that by moving the calendar up a bit, it would allow for us to be in session during the PSA testing dates. It would provide an equal first 9 weeks, second 9 weeks. It also allows for some of those students who maybe weren't eligible but who had worked really, really hard to bring their grades up, would possibly make them eligible about 2 weeks sooner. And Ryan shared that that's a very, very small handful of students, but for some that may be the motivation and the push that they need to become academically eligible for sports. But those were the only major differences, I believe, in the calendar, if that's correct, Clint, or
from what I don't have.
Building level principals, secretaries. We talked a little bit with RCTA, we would still include the makeup days as presented. If we exhaust the makeup days due to inclement weather, we would move to 2 e-learning days. I know that there's a push for more. I'd like to see us get through those hurdles first and make sure that we are able to provide academically what we need to provide through e-learning. There are a lot of schools who are actually backing down on the number of days they allow for e-learning because of some academic growth and achievement concerns that they're seeing within their districts. So I'd like for us to be able to track that. If we exhaust our makeup days, if we use those 2 e-learning days, we have still set aside in both of the calendars the last 2 days of the spring breaks to utilize if necessary as makeup time, and then concluding with May 26th being the last day of school. If needed, we could always push that last week of May.
Janet, it appears, help me if I'm wrong here, it looks like that March 20th and 21st are the days that are scheduled for the makeup.
I'm sorry, they would be at the end.
They would be at the end, not in the beginning.
Right,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, at the end.
Ms. Vance, what was the day of the PSAT testing? Do we know what that landed on?
I believe, Adam, do you have my back on that one? October 18th or 19th, I believe. I believe it's the 19th.
We're around Wednesday.
Did you say it's on Wednesday?
I think there's an alternative date of November 2nd as well.
October 19th.
And if we could also, if you would like, we could also put this out for community input as well on the website and open it up for a brief period of time. I would caution us, though, that we need to stick to these calendars. There's a lot that goes into that planning that you can't just throw out and have a lot of community input around some of these things. But we can most certainly do that as well if you would like.
So what benefit, is there any benefits at all to starting it on October the 13th? That was the first one in the packet.
That is, in the past, my concern is the original reason for doing that is traditionally in the last few years, that is when fall break has landed. And so the concern then would be those parents who may have already started to plan vacation times well out, and traditionally that has been about the time period to
That would
do
be the
that.
only reason to keep that first one.
Exactly.
Well, I could also see another reason. We have, because of the way our calendar is, when we start and when we finish the semester, there won't be completely balanced 9 weeks. It'll either be 8.5 weeks and 9.5 weeks, or 9.5 weeks and 8.5 weeks. So both of these have them more balanced than this year that we're currently in, and I very much appreciate that, and I thank everyone that worked on the calendar for doing that. This current year we're in, from when we started to when we had fall break, was 11 weeks, and that, I think that we're feeling that that's too long, and I would agree with that. The previous 3 years, from when we started to fall break, was 10 weeks. And the first calendar that we were presented, that's what that is. It's 10 weeks. But there's the 9 weeks, as they call it, would be 9.5 weeks. Then you'd have 3 days, and then it's fall break. And I just wonder if having the shorter the shorter term, second instead of first, might work out better. In other words, when you're starting out a school year, you're not taking grades and starting projects and so on those first couple of days. Even at the high school, part of it, I'm sure, is routines and so on, and definitely at the elementary school, at the elementary level, that's what you're doing. And so to have an extra week of grades in that first term versus the second term, there could be advantage in that. If we want to work to move it up so it is 9 weeks after we start, I wonder if maybe we could wait another year and make sure that we have advertised that well, that we've approved the calendar a full year in advance instead of less than a year, because I do think that the first calendar more clearly fits what we've done before. And I will say the winter break, from winter break until spring break, is not 9 weeks. It's a lot longer than that. But there's a lot to be said for that because of calling off of school, or I know a lot of people feel like once you come back from spring break, there's a lot of less motivation sometimes, and so to have that a little later is okay, but I do appreciate how either of these is more balanced than it was this year.
Okay. Anybody, do we have more comments? So at this time, we're putting both of these out for consideration.
We can. Mhm.
We don't necessarily have to adopt tonight.
No, we can put it up for a survey, but I would encourage us to be prepared to adopt by the end of December.
Okay. This sounds like there's still a little question, but preferred calendar would be the new revised earlier fall break, as far as administration is concerned.
I believe so.
Which is the
Yes, they're
first
not
one
in it.
listed? Or
The
second one listed?
The October, having break fall October 6th and 7th, and then the week of intercession being October 10th through the 13th, 14th.
That would also be a virtual kickoff or whatever that's worth. people
Advance.
traveling.
Yes.
So do you have time, so our next meeting is December 14th. Do you have time to do a survey?
Yes, we will. Yeah, we'll get it advertised and get it out there. Won't we, Kistler? Yes, we can, absolutely.
Is that okay with the rest of the board then? Go that route? Okay. Okay, approval of moving forward with gym floor update for the summer of 2016.
Brian, if you'd like to
Brian?
share.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity to share this design with you. Mr. Kissler kind of put the PowerPoint up as we talk. Scott, to go ahead, the first thing I want to focus on is the proposed design, which is kind of compressed in this slide. But this design features a two-tone court. Basically, you see inside the arc, that'll be down to bare maple. And then outside the arc, it's stained. And the oversized zebra logo you see in the center is just a darker stain that contrasts with the stain that's there. Old English R's in the lanes, black lanes, and then an apron, they call it, around the sides with Rochester zebras on the side courts. You may ask, why would we want to do this? Basically, it's a way to enhance the appearance for the most trafficked area in our school corporation, or one of the most trafficked areas in our school corporation. And it's not just patrons that come here for basketball games and volleyball games and wrestling matches, but it's also graduation, orientation, all those sorts of things that occur at our gym. We wanted to incorporate some of the tradition that we have. The Old English R, it has been part of the uniforms of Rochester basketball players for over 100 years. The zebra head is completely unique. No one around has anything like it. So those are two things we really wanted to emphasize in our design. But we also wanted to make it contemporary enough that the kids would be excited about their new court. Didn't want it to look too similar to the old, but we wanted to hang on to tradition. Another thing here to keep in mind is, from my talks with area athletic directors, 10 to 15 years is about the time frame for sanding these courts, and we haven't done this since 1991. That being said, our court's in really good shape. Our custodial staff's done a good job taking care of it. They buff it and put a new sealant on it about every other year, and they've done a good job of maintaining it. So it's not a thing where it's falling apart, it's mostly cosmetic. I did ask all of the TRC athletic directors when the last time they had their courts done, and most of them were able to get it within a year or two. The only two that haven't had it done as recently as us are Southwood, who just said a really long time ago, and I think Brad said when he was in school they did it, and North Miami says they maybe have never done it, but everybody else is within the last 10 years or 5 years. Next, I want to skip to the costs. We had 3 bids that we sought in 2013 when we first tried to look at doing this project, and they all came around $25,000. One of those companies is now not doing gym floors anymore. Star came in at just $27,597, just a couple thousand over what they were in 2013. A&H looks like they're looking at more like $35,000 to $40,000, but said they could adjust it downward based on if we wanted to lose some of the elements of the design we have. And all those design elements are changeable. I mean, nothing's locked in stone. Funding sources. One of the things that drove this is we had the Patterson Foundation approach us and inquire about maybe donating some money to have their name put on the court. And we did a study committee on that and decided it wasn't in our best interest to do that at this time. There's the bond money going around, but we don't really want to tap into that. We can use the sports facility lines out of capital projects and encumber some of the money from this year and then get the remainder out of it from next year's capital projects. We've been right around $50,000 last 2 years, and if that holds true again this year, we should be in good shape. The next 2 slides just talk about the difference between what A&H, the higher of the 2 manufacturers or vendors, called menu items. These are things that they could remove to lower the price. That's the oversized zebra logo, the 2-tone court, the Old English R's in the lane, painting the lanes black, and putting the outer apron on there. I do want to point out, though, that in the Star bid, which is the lower of the 2, all those items are included. So the $27,000 plus that they bid includes everything in this design. Scott, if you skip forward, just a side-by-side, that's what our court looks like now. It's pretty basic. compared to what we're proposing. Everything that you see as far as the 2 basketball courts that are running the opposite way, that all stays. And then the volleyball courts that run the same way as the court, that all stays too. And we add some ladders and agility dots for the kids. Next slide. This slide, I'm going to sound like I'm from Meridian here. The pictures don't really do it justice, but as you go into our gym, if you want an idea of what the hardwood looks like when it's sanded all the way down, if you go next to the bleachers, you can see what that maple is supposed to look like. Over the years, as you keep applying sealant, it gets discolored and kind of gets that yellowish tint to it. We do have some areas where the bleachers roll out, and if you go to the next slide, there's some pitting that's occurred. That would be sanded out. You know, it's over the years it's going to happen again, but it's especially bad at the places where the risers come up for the fans, the first step of the bleachers. There's a lot of pressure there. It really wears into the court. If you ever want to come in and look at that, you can see that. There's 8 places on our floor that are really prominently kind of dug in there. Next slide, Scott. Some area gyms for comparison. Maconaquah did theirs in 2012, and they do a lot of the same things we did, or we're looking to do. They've got the 2-tone court, the stained design. They've got the apron. Theirs actually has some pretty neat striping in the apron. If you go ahead, this is a nice comparison of what it looked like before and after. It was really nice when they got that discoloration from the years off of the court and let the maple really shine through. I think that looks really nice. Our court compared to their court, not that they have anything in common really. Peru, kind of the same thing. This is the only shot I could find of their gym, but they have the apron on the side, the nice big logo, and then the staining inside the arc. Tippecanoe Valley, hard to see in this picture, but a lot of the same elements. The apron, 2-tone color, big design, colored lanes. Winnemax is older, but they still incorporate the apron and the painted lanes. This is a really good comparison. Warsaw has that big oversized stained logo. Theirs is, if you can't tell what that is, like tiger claws tearing through the court. That was done in, I think, 2011. But it's kind of similar to some of the elements we're trying to incorporate, and they've actually come a long way in as far as what they can do with the designs. This actually, if you get a chance to look at this slide, it actually shows the process. You can see in the corner, they've got it sanded all the way down, followed by the initial lettering. Then they're staying in the lane and adding the colored lettering, so it kind of shows you what that process looks like as it occurs over about a 2.5 week span. This one's not great because I couldn't find some super pictures for it, but Ad could probably tell you. This one is Caston's court that they did in 2012, I think. They use the same company that I'm looking at with Star. They've got the two-tone court with the colored lane, the apron around it, and their logo is really neat. I couldn't find a picture of their logo, but if you want to take a drive 10 minutes over to Caston and take a look at what they did, it's pretty impressive. Another local school, Wabash. I chose this slide because it shows kind of the mix of the contemporary and the traditional. They've got the traditional logo in the court, but they put the basketballs into their court design too, kind of behind the free throw line. Kind of a neat idea there. This is similar to what we're doing. You can see the oversized Indiana logo stained on there with their logo on top of it. That's at Monroe Central. Bar Reeve, another example of putting what it looks like to have a big logo on the court. Wood Memorial, just similar again. And then Logan Sport, just wanted to show you some of the things you can do with incorporating the tradition of your school with Felix the Cat there, and then their lettering on the apron. So just some examples, comparisons. What they can do with courts now compared to even what they could do 10 years ago is pretty amazing. They just make big vinyl stencils of everything you want, lay it out on the court, everything's pretty perfect. So that's the proposal for the gym floor.
Ryan, are both companies that proposed bids confident that we have enough wood, that we have enough material there
Yeah,
to
good
sand
question.
it?
Yeah, both are.
Again?
Both are, and if you want to look at it, there's a area we have exposed where our power source is. You can pull that piece up and actually look at the side view in there, so they have a really good idea of how much wood is left. We think that since 1965, when the gym was installed, we can only for sure know 1 or 2 times it's been sanded, so there should be plenty of wood there.
Has anybody told you approximately how many times that can happen before?
It depends on who you talk to. There was a company that, I know they told Caston the same thing a few years ago. They came to Caston and said, there's no way you can sand this thing down again, and they just did it, it's fine. I think that was an attempt for companies to try to get you to replace your court.
Hey Ryan, since we're stripping, sanding, and so forth to make the whole floor brighter, is there any particular reason why the choice has been made to stain the majority of the court darker again rather than the three-point circles only?
Sure, that's a good question. First of all, it does look darker on the design, but when you get down to it, the court's already dark compared to if you come into the gym and look at what the bare maple is, which is what you'd have inside there. This stain's not going to be much darker than what's already there. I think with this inside the arc being as bright as it is, there will be no net effect on how dark and light it is in there. If we had worries about that and didn't feel like we wanted to commit to that, we can change the way the two-tone balance is. We can put the darker inside the lane. We have any option we want on that.
Yeah, that was my question is, what was the thinking of having the majority of the floor darker rather than having the majority of the floor lighter and inside the three-point circles darker?
Okay, the thought process behind that is we knew we wanted to have what they call a ghosting look with the zebra head, and that's basically where you have stains that aren't super far apart. It kind of makes it look like it's fading in and out of the court.
Okay.
So that's how you achieve that look.
Okay.
That's not something that we're married to. In fact, you could go all maple and paint it on dark black if you wanted to.
Okay, so you wanted a low contrast between the floor and the zebra head.
With something that's very noticeable from a distance, but as you're playing on it, doesn't really detract from your view.
I get it. Okay.
As far as cost, it doesn't matter staining one way or the other.
Nope. You basically have a palette to choose from.
Ryan, you said that the funds would come from capital projects, sports. Last year's CPF sports facilities was $50,000. So what things do you normally buy with that money?
So you've got things like when your baseball diamond needs new dirt, which is every year. Things like that, when you need a new scoreboard, unless you do it like we did this year where we had a company go out and get it. We had $15,000 worth of gym improvements that we made to make sure that our baskets and our oxygen lift safely, and that our goals are at the IHSAA standard. Just things like the windows in our press box was one that we did this year. They failed an inspection, and it was $3,000 that we had to use to improve that facility because it's not tied to any kind of instruction, so it has to come out of the sports line instead of out of the general fund.
So you're feeling confident that using these funds, you can cover the other things that you need to cover as well?
Yeah, I feel pretty good with that. Unless something really catastrophic were to happen, and we haven't had that in the 4 years that I've been doing this so far.
Brian, on some of your slides, you showed damage caused by the bleachers going out. Is that something we ought to look at? Because evidently there's maybe steel wheels, maybe go to a wider rubber wheel, something that'd be easier on the stain.
The grooves aren't as bad. In fact, they kind of, what you're talking about with the wheels coming out, they just kind of look like dark shadows there. What's really bad is that first step that you have. It's a detachable step that lays down on the court and actually makes contact with the court. We talked to our custodial staff about putting down like a felt, an adhesive felt on the bottom, and then getting that up over the corner so it's not making so much contact. But at this point, a lot of damage has already been done.
Every time they step on it, probably.
Yeah, I think those bleachers were probably put in around 2000, so for 15 years, that's been grinding its way into the court. So it's something that we could probably lessen the impact, but it's still going to leave that indentation after years and years of use, I think.
The price difference between the two companies, the lowest price on the second company, I don't recall the name.
Starforth.
The lowest price on the A&H
Oh, yeah.
is like 27% higher than the Star. With a price difference that great, it makes me wonder whether, we're going to get all that we need from the lower bid.
Yeah, I wondered that too, and that's why I called Mr. Strasser and Deb Stevens over at Casting, because they use this company. They seem overall pretty pleased with what they got.
Star is also the same company that did our auditorium stage 2 years ago, and they did a very nice job.
Our auditorium?
So we have a little experience with them, and area schools do, and no major complaints.
So you have a track history, and their bid may be fair where the other ones just overbid it, just to get the job okay and great. So,
Like I said, they offered to send a menu of items and negotiate that price around a little bit, but I still haven't seen that menu. It was basically a phone conversation where I said this came in a lot higher than it did 2 years ago. What's the difference? And he pointed to, this is a more complex design than it was a couple years ago, but after talking to Star, they don't seem to think it makes that much difference. They have to manufacture their logos and their lettering anyway. It's just a matter of bigger stencil.
I have a few questions, Ryan. How long does it take to redo a surface that large?
It's between 2 and 3 weeks.
What kind of warranty do they offer?
That I would have to ask.
Okay. And do you lose the volleyball court, or is that inlaid in the design?
No, it's in the design. It's hard to see on the slide, but it's in old gold, which is basically what it's supposed to be in now.
So it's still there?
It's still there.
Okay. And then just a comment maybe for the board, if you're going to strip the gym floor, might be a good time to think about naming it after somebody. Just a thought.
Well, as Ryan said, we went through those discussions and kind of come to the conclusion to not go there, really.
That's fine. We
Yeah.
just got a football field and baseball diamond.
It's
Just
kind of
throwing it
hard to
out.
say yes to someone and somebody else say no.
Sure.
And they say, well, we can give you more money and, where's it in? But
I wouldn't even.
it's a good
take the money
thought.
side of it. I would just do it as a compliment to somebody.
Yeah. That's another thing. We thought if it was someone, it'd be somebody involved in the school that has had an impact in the Rochester Community School System. So, any other questions?
Ryan, I see at the free throw line, you've gone to the Old English Shar. You currently have the TRC there. Conference logo seem to be prominent. Is that anything to do with TRC that they expect that, or?
No, it's just that if you look at the last couple of years in Indiana sports, a lot of conferences have disbanded, and with the amount of time we've had between sandings, I didn't feel comfortable putting a logo on there with the kind of disruptions that we've had in conferences.
I noticed that in most of the other schools, I was looking for that very thing, and I don't think other schools included it.
We already honored the conference with a big banner inside the gym, so we feel that that's what our obligation is. Put it on the court, I thought, could become antiquated if the circumstances change. Sure.
That's a good point. Any other questions?
Talk to you.
Question in the back?
I don't think she likes it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Gotta get the skiers from credit though.
Tord, are you comfortable with approval of moving forward this time? Get things going?
Guess we'll find out.
Do we have to pick a bidder or a vendor, or we just pick a price?
Not this time. I think we're just setting it in motion.
Yeah, you approve the project and give them a certain dollar amount. Since it's over 25,000, then leave it up to the administration to follow through. So if you say, no more than $35,000 on the gym floor, then they can move from there. If A&H is in there, then they'll then publish or request bids at that point.
Yeah, to be clear, my hope was to encumber what's left out of the sports facilities line at the beginning of the year, and just have that allotted toward the project.
And we're prepared to do that. We're comfortable doing it.
I'll make a motion that we spend up to $30,000 to redo the gym floor with the administration's approval at the final bid.
Okay, motion by Brad,
And encumber $8,000 from.
And encumber $8,000 from this year's capital projects fund, specifically the sports line item.
Very good.
have a second?
I second that.
Okay, motion by Brad, second by Steve. Any other discussion?
Yeah, by the motion, we are effectively ruling out A&H and selecting the star, and you're comfortable with that, Ryan, right?
Yes, I am.
That's not a question.
Well, Don, you're not effectively ruling them out, you're just putting a cap on it. If the bid comes in over 30, they'll either have to accept one under 30 or bring it back to the board.
Okay.
But if A&H wants the bid, they can watch the video and come in and
Okay,
whatever.
yeah, I guess I was just looking at the numbers presented, but yeah.
If it goes more than that, we'll just see it again.
Yeah, good from there.
Will this be made public where any bidders that are out there we don't know of can put a bid in, or?
Well, they'll send it out to known suppliers.
Okay.
At this level, they don't have to publish it and provide general public notice, but they solicit quote, or solicit bids, not quotes, solicit bids. And we make the decision, send it out and say these are the specs, you respond to these specs, and give us a price. And so,
I'd like to know about the warranty too. That's not part of the motion.
right.
Okay, we have motion and second. Any more discussion? All in favor, right in? Motion carried, 6-0. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
In the bid specs, you.
Thank you for all the work on that.
Yeah, I will. We will. We'll get that out.
Okay, construction updates.
I believe it was about a week and a half ago, we went up on the roofs. We invited Bill Morris to come up. And I want to begin by publicly thanking him for his help and walking me through some of those questions and concerns that I believe that we all had. He spent about an hour and a half with me up there answering some of those questions. After speaking with Billy, talking to Terry, and making sure that we keep the bond project and get done what we need to get done. At the high school, we have already completed in the former bond funds roofs number 7, 8, and 9, and I brought our guide here, master plan as a reference. There were concerns about roof numbers 11 through 14, so 11, 12, 13, and 14, in regards to warranty, condition, current condition of the roofs, and what would be the best option for us to look at in regards to those roofs. Those roofs are ones that have the aggregate on it. It's kind of, if you're up there, it's like almost like a pea gravel kind of covering over it. In the pictures, it shows some of that being displaced. We firmly believe that with a little bit of TLC and moving that aggregate around, bringing in just a little bit of new, that Billy and Terry and everybody were convinced that we could get about 5 to 8 more years out of those. They did not encourage us to update the warranty, as the cost to that would far exceed what a minor repair would take, or just wasn't a good use of funds. But we do believe that at this point in time, to save on the bond money, we're comfortable leaving off roofs 11 through 14 where they stand. We'll do minor repairs to those and we should be okay. And Billy was very open to questions or comments if you have any. So that would leave roofs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 15, and 16 as part of this bond project. So we took off 4 of the roofs. We'll place that money more appropriately where it needs to be in regards to the HVAC, the heating and cooling systems, and explore all options there. But it was a very informative afternoon, and I want to thank Billy for his time and efforts in regards to that, and have brought pictures should you want to reference that or talk about warranties or anything in regards to that. I also went through Strongs and Poor's. We had our pre-bond sale meeting just last week, and we're on track for those to go out for bid yet this week, and Ted's been very helpful in regards to that, and we are still very much on track calendar-wise to make sure that we are on schedule as far as release of funds and being able to move forward on the projects.
Was time well spent on the roof? I know you don't like heights.
I asked where that was on my contract in small print, and I guess it falls under other jobs as deemed necessary, so I was up there with them, and no, it is important so that I can answer those questions and can speak for what we saw up there, but it was helpful to be up there and to be able to have somebody who could walk you through that didn't really have a personal interest other than to support Rochester schools and be very open. And I'm confident by what he told us, and it fell right into what Terry and Viridian and everybody, what we were talking about, and helps with the bond money going a little bit further in regards to the other projects.
Again, thank Billy Morris for going up there.
Absolutely.
The company had done a lot of the work on the roofs, so he'd be the one to know what was going on and when it was done. So.
And just for the record, he doesn't have any dog in that hunt anymore either,
No.
so it was completely objective, because he doesn't roof anymore, I don't think.
No, he said he sold the business 3 or 4 years ago.
So it was
And
just
so-
a donation to help the school district.
Absolutely.
Much appreciated.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, we'll move on to personnel report. Okay. Okay, under resignations, we have Lori Fry, RHS Instructional Assistant, and Jacqueline Stevens, at Columbia School. Terminations, Sherry Breitenbach, Business Manager. Hirings, Lucinda Pote, RHS Spanish teacher. Sarah Ingram, Riddle Instructional Assistant. Stephanie Phillips, Columbia Special Needs Instructional Assistant. Stacy Ingram, Riddle Instructional Assistant. Assignments and reassignments, Amber Reinhold from Columbia Instructional Assistant to Attendance Secretary, and Stephanie Brown, RMS ECA High Ability. Then we have some extracurricular recommendations. It's quite a list. The board has had time to go over those. So at this time, I need a motion to approve the personnel report.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Brad,
A second.
and a second by Jenny. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor, right hand. Okay, motion carries 6-0. Thank you.
As we're talking about personnel report, I want to thank Candy. She's been going over and helping at Columbia with the treasurer's part of it. With Julie being over at central office learning a new position, Candy has stepped up and been over at Columbia on and off to help them out. So I do appreciate your help and your efforts in doing that. Thank you.
Okay, do we need to, I guess I would.
Yeah, that was an addition.
Okay, we have one more addition. They'd come in late here. Bill Wyatt has accepted a position at RHS, working mornings, and he'll still be able to sub in the afternoon as needed. So I'll need a motion to approve Bill Wyatt.
There's a second one too.
Which one's that?
Well, this one,
I think that's the one I,
Did you?
that's the one I.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah,
you got
I
the
read
one.
that one. Okay, have a motion?
I'm confused, especially because it wasn't from the high school that was from. So are we approving his position at the high school, or?
No, it is from the high school. I know, I spoke to Chris Kiesling this afternoon in regards to it. There was a position in the life skills classroom that an IA resigned from during the last board meeting, and you accepted that. We were really looking at whether or not that needed to be a full-time position to rehire for, or if we could think outside the box in regards to that. and we do believe that that full-time position can be cut to a half-time position. So Bill White is being recommended for that position that was left open.
An IA, is it part-time
Right.
IA position?
Part-time
Okay.
IA, which still leaves him, and I think why Kathy Adams is involved with this is he would still like to pick up those afternoon sub positions, which it works out well for us because sometimes it's hard to find that person willing to give up a half a day to come in and sub, but this should work out well that he could be here in the morning and then pick that up. So it was a position that was left open that we were trying to see if it really needed to be full-time or if we could cut back and see what that might look like.
Okay, any other question? Need a motion to approve?
So,
Okay, motion by Jenny,
I'll second.
and second by Lisa to approve Bill White. Any other discussion? All in favor, right in? Okay, motion carries 6-0. Okay, superintendent business.
The very last thing I would like to share, and I've shared with Christina and also with Channel 4, Zebby will undergo his final repairs tomorrow morning around 10:30. Liz Odell, who does upholstery, will be coming in. She came highly recommended from Barb McGee. We had originally invited Barb in. I know that she is a longtime supporter of Rochester schools and has done a lot of upholstery herself. She recommended the Odell family to come in and to help us out. They've already spent about an hour and 15 minutes working on Zebby, and they will be concluding that work tomorrow at central office. So we're inviting the community in if you'd like to see those final steps and refurbishing Zebby and getting him back over to the high school. That will take place tomorrow morning about 10:30, and she thinks she has a couple of hours of work left in regards to that, but most certainly the Sentinel's invited. Channel 4, I believe, is going to come in, but anybody from the community that would like to see that unfold and ask questions or be up close and in person, you're welcome to. He belongs to the community, so it'll be our final steps in getting him back in that showcase. I believe that's it.
Any more concerns?
Mr. Haas texted me, we'd like to welcome Charlie Haas. She is 7 pounds 4 inches, 21 inches long, and mom and family are doing great.
That's great.
Welcome Charlie Haas to the Rochester RCSC family.
Our newest zebra.
It just happened, what, last hour? Or?
Yeah, it was during the meeting. She went in for the seat. Well, that's better. She went in earlier to have the baby.
All right, that's good news. Any comments from the audience? If not, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you for coming.
We got stuff to sign.